Welcome to another episode of Technical Earth Syndicate, now with 38% fewer zombie-related deaths. I'm Chris Stewart.
And I'm Michael Buffington.
And this is episode 32 for October 4th, 2013. So, got an awesome show for us today.
No, we don't.
We do.
Do we?
I think we do.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing the last few days. And then we have, for our topic attack, we're going to discuss the problems with our favorite genres of video games. We're going to get on our soapbox and talk like old people, saying things like, back in my day.
Back in my day.
You kids have it easy.
It's going to be fun.
And we got some cool stuff for Alan's Tech Corner as well. Something about a mind-controlled prosthetic leg.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds like a good show.
It does. Stay tuned. So what have you been up to the last couple of days?
I have been up to nothing.
I think you're lying to me.
Dude, I told you I was watching Breaking Bad, right?
You did.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised.
I've been kind of overdosing on that. And I'm not talking about meth. I'm talking about the show. No, it's a really good show, man. I've been watching a bunch of that. I'm almost on season 3, and I'm just in case people haven't watched the show, I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry. But it is definitely a good show, and knowing that it's already ended makes it so much easier to watch, because I always hate watching shows knowing that when I get to that final season that they're still working on, I'm going to have to wait week after week after week, or 6 months to a year later, and then I'll get a episode again. So currently I'm doing that with Boardwalk Empire too. I just watched the newest episode of that, and so I've been watching a lot of TV, honestly. Not really playing a lot of games. I did update my Wii U with the new patch. Did you do that yet, Chris?
I have not. I've been messing around with Grand Theft Auto, which I finally just beat last night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I beat that earlier this week. But yeah, Wii U got an update where you can actually play your Wii video games on your gamepad now, but the catch is you still have to use a Wiimote on it. You just have to kind of, it's basically used as a smaller TV, so if you're without a TV, you can still play your Wii games on it.
Yeah, it seems really weird, but I guess the camera on the pad is supposed to be like its own, like the sensor bar kind of built in.
It does have a sensor bar. That's the cool thing about it. So, and it works surprisingly well. I tried it out with what's it called, Skyward Sword on Legend of Zelda. Skyward Sword, pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. And TV. I haven't been playing any Final Fantasy 14. I haven't been playing GTA 5 much since I beat it, since the last podcast, honestly. Just been watching Breaking Bad,
That is just fantastic. I'm glad you're watching. I've been trying to convince you for the longest time, and you're like, no, I don't want to watch it. I only watch sci-fi shows.
And the question is, Chris, want to cook?
I do want to cook. Let's go. I'll get the RV.
Wait, this sounds so bad. No, we don't. We want to cook corn. Yeah, corn in the kitchen.
That's what
we're gonna be culinary chefs, guys. Anyway, what have you been up to, man?
Oh man, well, like I said, I just finished Grand Theft Auto 5. Fantastic game. Also haven't been playing much Final Fantasy 14. I think I might actually be getting ready to take a short break from it, because my subscription is going to run out, I think, in the next week or so.
You just got to level 30. Come on.
I did, but, I'm going to be swamped in the next couple of months with this old baby situation.
You still got a month of freedom. You could still play, 14 a little bit. I'm going to be playing this weekend, hopefully. So
yeah, I don't know. I also just got that Kingdom Hearts thing in the mail the other day, so I might be hitting that up a little bit.
I just got to was it Traverse Town?
Yeah.
The first town you go. I've been playing it too. Playing it with my daughter, and I forgot how much I love that game. It's awesome. But let's talk about what you thought about Grand Theft Auto 5.
I thought it was great. The story was a little bit predictable in the end, I thought, but the GTA stories have never been super mind blowing, crazy.
This one
so.
was definitely a lot different than the other ones. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
without spoiling
with
it.
the three main characters,
Yeah.
it was really different. So
I liked it. They I don't know, it had something special about it, and I haven't played a game like that this year at all.
yeah,
I think it's the character swapping and everything like that. So
yeah, and it's a GTA game, so they all the characters play the same, but in the way they're still different because of their abilities that they have and just their personalities. They kind of make you want to play differently with each one. Like I noticed with Trevor, I was going off road a lot, no matter what vehicle I was in, just doing all kinds of craziness. And then with the other two, I was kind of not really follow the traffic laws, but I'd kind of stay on the roads a little bit.
it kind of soak in their personalities a little bit. So it's kind of weird when you play it.
And like with Franklin, I would whatever was on the radio, if it was like rap music or whatever, I would usually just leave it on which was weird for me because I kind of hate rap music normally. So,
all right, question for you: what was your favorite character by the end of the game?
Trevor, hands down.
Trevor, really?
I know you didn't really care for him because he's like.
No, I liked him.
I mean, you like him, but because he's so just like out there and nuts and just kind of messed up, is like you didn't really care for him as much as the others. But I thought I could play an entire game with just Trevor. I think.
You know who I really liked, and I didn't really start realizing this till later. I really liked Michael, and I was gonna pick him as my favorite character just because middle-aged man going crazy, and he's trying to keep up his family, and it's hilarious. But you see that so many times, like even on The Sopranos and stuff like that. You get to see that, but you never get to see like a thug life too much, and some easygoing black guy on there. And Franklin was my favorite character of that game. He was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool seeing him trying to survive and trying to, do good for himself without getting in trouble, like becoming a gangbanger or anything like that. It was a very cool story for him. And to me, it almost seemed like he was the main focus of the game somewhat at times.
Yeah, especially with those later missions.
Yeah.
But Franklin was definitely a very close second for me.
Yeah. But great game. If you guys have not checked it out, if you're not a fan of GTA, I would recommend actually picking it up just for the storyline and how different it is. You can still go on rampages and do whatever you want, but it just has a little bit more zing, I guess, from the other GTAs. I've never been a big GTA fan, but I still like them.
Yeah.
This one made me like, oh man, I can't wait for GTA 6 to come out, or the expansions or something. So
yeah, this was definitely a bit refreshing after 4. The story was kind of bland and it kind of took itself a little bit too seriously, I think.
Yeah.
And this one, it's still serious in some parts, but it's still got that wacky kind of GTA feel from like the older ones, like 3 and Vice City and stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That battle wraps it up for our, what we've been doing. If you guys want to let us know what you've been doing, what games you've been playing, if you've been playing GTA, let us know. Next up is Topic Attack. On today's Topic Attack, we have a really cool discussion that we want to do. The problems of our favorite genres in games. First off, my favorite genre is first-person shooters for the most part. And as of recently, that's gone downhill. Wow, it's gone downhill. Chris, you're one of your favorite games is what? What game genres?
I don't really have a top favorite, I guess. It kind of switches every once in a while between the JRPGs, and every once in a while I get into fighting games. Okay. And then we'll sprinkle some first person shooters in there once in a while too. But
yeah. I like my action games, and those are usually done okay. There's some gripes I have with those. But the three top genres that we probably have problems with, more or less, are first-person shooters, fighting games, and JRPGs. Am I correct? Right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's go into the first one. Let's go into first-person shooters. Problems of first-person shooters nowadays compared to, late 90s and early 2000s, up until like I want to say 2005 and 6 when the Xbox 360 first came out. I want to say that's when first-person shooters started to have a lot of issues, actually.
Yeah, Call of Duty next.
Call of Duty's the worst offender, with a 4-hour, 5-hour long storyline. Some of them have topped out at 8 hours, but that's bare minimum. Like I've never played a Call of Duty that's more than 8 hours of storyline, and even then you could probably beat it in about 4 or 5 hours. You know? And that's the biggest problem with first-person shooters. Now they focus too much on multiplayer instead of storyline. When first-person shooters started to come out, and I'm not talking about Doom or Quake or anything like that, because that was like the mindless fun shooters, talking about when Perfect Dark came out and any of those long storylines, even Half-Life, it may have been a linear storyline, but it had hours of gameplay on it. I want to say like 14, 15, 16, 17 hours of gameplay mattering what you did.
It's a pretty long one.
Yeah, and then Deus Ex, the first game, had over 20 to 30 hours. That was the glory of first-person shooters in 2000 when that came out.
Yeah.
And now we got today, we have games that are just focused on multiplayer. Call of Duty. Name some other ones. Battlefield. Battlefield has always been a single multiplayer game, though, but they've tacked on horrible storyline onto it as well, you know? And they keep on releasing the same game over and over, and Battlefield's guilty of this too. I mean, as much as I want to play Battlefield 4, it's a carbon copy of Battlefield 3 for the most part.
Yeah. They didn't used to be like that, though. It used to be like every once in a while you get a new Battlefield, and it was, focused, really good stuff,
Battlefield 1942 was awesome. It was World War II. It was different. You got to fly planes, and just it was one of the coolest Battlefield games. And then they brought out Battlefield 2. It was completely different than 1942. And they also had some of the expansions for Battlefield 1942. And then they had a futuristic, what's it called? One was it Battlefield 2033 or something? I don't know what it was. I know our Battlefield fans are probably yelling at us, but they were all different for the most part, and they didn't lace everything with DLC, expansion packs, maps, and stuff we don't need. And now we got into this point where our favorite genre is turned into a DLC written game. Like, it's 4-hour storyline, a little bit of multiplayer, and then next week our DLC pack comes out for $9.99. You have to buy it, Yeah. And that's the major problem with first-person shooters right now. It's not just the storyline, it's the multiplayer as well. Back in the day, like with Quake 3 Arena, had all the maps and then mod support, and that's all we needed, and it was fun. And that's talking about the multiplayer side, and then with the single player storylines, they're not as gripping anymore as they used to. Honestly,
yeah, it's like they're just an afterthought now. Like, what it is, they focus all their energy on the multiplayer, and then the campaign is basically just a 4-hour tutorial to get you ready for it.
I don't like that. Now with Human Revolution, Deus Ex Human Revolution, that was a great game. I squeezed 30 plus hours out of that game just on the main storyline, and that had no multiplayer though, and is strictly focused on that. But there's other games that try to do that as well, where there's no multiplayer, but you only get 4 or 5 hours out of it. Metro 2033 comes to mind, even though that's a really good game, from what I heard, and the second one's pretty good. They're just really short games, and I realize that it takes money to develop these things, but it seems like they're not spending a lot of time even on the storylines half the time.
Yeah, every once in a while though, you do get a decently long game, like your Deus Ex and Dishonored was pretty long, and your BioShocks, they're decently long, and and those games, they don't have the multiplayer in them, and so.
Well, BioShock 2 did, I guess. Actually, BioShock 2 was probably...
I don't think anybody counts that one.
Well, BioShock 2 was made by a different developer, and it was honestly the worst out of the series. So
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, But we're running into it where it's like you said, it's an afterthought, like the main storyline, especially with multiplayer driven stuff.
Yeah.
And you get so many first person shooters nowadays, it's becoming kind of like fighting games, our next discussion that we're going to have, where it's just over and over, rinse and repeat the same thing, same generic storyline, there's nothing interesting,
Yeah.
especially with Call of Duty and Battlefield storyline games. Oh, good God. I actually have not finished Black Ops 2 because the storyline kind of started to bore me for once, and
Yeah.
I've always been okay with those storylines,
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
they weren't, Shakespeare or any kind of awesomeness like that, but they were, at least the first couple of Modern Warfare games, and the first Black Ops was really good, surprisingly.
and the
But
first Call of Duty 4 was really good,
yeah,
honestly. I that was my favorite of the Call of Duty series.
yeah, but yeah, I think pretty much once Infinity Ward kind of dissolved back with Modern Warfare 2 is
mm.
when it really started to take a nosedive with story for them.
And even some of these long games like Borderlands and Borderlands 2, I feel like the storyline's not even there. It's just it's a linear game. It's just all about killing mobs and getting new guns, and I know that's what they made for, but I kind of wish it actually had a more flushed out storyline.
And I thought the
Uh,
second one, well, granted we haven't really finished the second one yet, but I think it had a lot more of a story than the first one did.
Decently, but it comes into the fact that you're playing with your buddy and it's a fun game to play
Yeah,
multiplayer wise, and they kind of the storyline's not anything special.
yeah,
I mean, Half-Life beats it on storyline, and the main character doesn't even talk in that one.
yeah,
So it it comes down to what we lost from back in the day. I feel like the storylines were a lot better. Even Perfect Dark's storyline on Nintendo 64 was amazing for a shooter. Honestly, it's one of my favorite shooters on Nintendo 64.
yeah,
Because the storyline was actually pretty decent.
yeah.
And now we look at it today, and it's not that great, but still,
When you're 9, 10 years old playing it for the first time, though, it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's I don't know, but it has better storyline than some of the Call of Duty games, and it definitely has better story than the freaking Battlefield 3 storyline. Yeah, don't get me
Yeah.
started on that. But enough about shooters. I want to know your guys' thoughts on how you feel about first person shooters and what you think is missing out of them too. I know it's mostly just the DLC written and the afterthought of the storyline,
Yeah.
and pretty much everyone's focused on just multiplayer with first person shooters, and the only ones doing it right are Battlefield and Call of Duty, apparently. So because no one sticks with the multiplayer,
Yeah.
on other games. But let us know what you think. We're going to be talking about fighting games next, and Chris, you could get into this one. I have a lot more. I guess I'm a little more bitter about fighting games, but
Yeah,
why don't you go ahead and bring us into it?
I can definitely see where you're coming from. I still enjoy them every once in a while, but there comes a time where it's getting excessive with some of the fighting games.
I want a fighting game with a real storyline. And even I think what's wrong with the fighting games of today is they're still trying to focus on everything that was back in the early 90s, where it's just a fighting game.
Yeah.
But games like the new Mortal Kombat with an actual storyline, that was cool.
Yeah.
Besides the insanely hard difficulty of getting past some of those, fights, for me anyway.
No, they're definitely hard. Like some of those boss fights. Ugh.
Yeah. I just hated the ones in Mortal Kombat where they put you against like 3 people, and you only have 2 health bars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I mean, what do you think we've lost from fighting games, honestly?
Like the DLC it seems to be like the plague of gaming for right now. Just it used to be you could unlock everything just by playing the game. All the costumes, all the characters and stuff. Now you gotta buy all the characters and all the costumes and all the different colors and stuff. I don't know how many different colors you can buy for your Guilty Gear characters, but
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I miss earning stuff. I miss earning all the costumes, like in what was it called? Killer Instinct for Super Nintendo. You got to unlock characters legitly, and now you have to buy them.
Yeah.
Like the new Killer Instinct, you have to buy characters to get them. So that's DLC. And the costumes, I think, are the biggest offenders for fighting games. That really disappoints me. Like,
yeah,
you don't need them, but some of them they try to make it seem like you'll look cooler, and not. I don't know. I don't buy costumes on fighting games. I did it, I think, with what game? I'm trying to think what I bought. Oh, I bought some item packs and for Soul Calibur 4, was it on Xbox?
maybe. I don't know.
They had DLC when, yeah. I think that's the only time I bought costume packs and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I bought one for. I bought the first one for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 before Ultimate came out.
And I think with fighting games, though, of them trying to add in characters and you have to buy it, it kind of pisses me off that it's an afterthought of, let's try to make some extra money buy these characters that resemble these other characters that are almost the same, but with pretty graphics,
Yeah.
And
there's also the yearly updates. Like they're almost. It's mainly Capcom doing this.
Capcom.
But every other year we got a new update for Street Fighter 4.
Super Ultra Edition XL ×5, your mama edition.
Yeah, I think we've got what is it? Ultra Super Street Fighter 4, like arcade edition revision 2014 or some stupid shit coming out.
No, that's ridiculous, especially the Street Fighter series. Holy crap, man. Even Street Fighter 2 has been done way too many times. Stop it.
Yeah.
I miss when fighters came out and they were just like, oh, we got this really neat fighter with a storyline. Oh, we got this neat fighter with cool game mechanics and these new characters and all this other stuff. And it's all changed, I guess, with the digital distribution of DLC.
What I do like, though, like, I hate that it happens every year, but I do like that at least they're not, full price $60 brand new games. These updates are usually $40 if you go and buy them in the store.
Well, with Capcom, but other ones like Namco, they don't care.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah, but with the Street Fighter updates, those are all like $40 when they come out brand new and you go buy them in the store. But if you have them already, then you can pay like $10 or $15 to download the update, and that's like pretty much the end of that.
Fighting games have pretty much stayed the same other than the DLC, but one thing I would like to see more of, that I said earlier on this, was storylines. I want to see really good storylines of fighters,
Yeah.
The last Soul Calibur game was terrible.
Oh,
it
God.
was just, panels? A slideshow?
Yeah, I think it had maybe like 3 or 4 minutes total of actual cutscenes, and then the rest of them were... and the rest of them was like reading a freaking comic book.
Yep, it was not. It was a fun game. It just wasn't fun for what Soul Calibur usually gave you, was decent storyline. So it seems like
being a fun game is, like, to me, it was a little bit arguable, that fact. I think I spent more time making characters than actually playing the game.
Well, that's you in every game. 3 hours later, I'm not done with this character. No, so fighting games need to be changed a little bit. They need to feel more like the companies need to give us more instead of, trying to make as much money as possible. I mean, that's business, but if people just stop buying the same game over and over again, Call of Duty, Street Fighter, then we wouldn't have this problem probably. So.
Yeah, it seems like the NetherRealm, the guys who did Mortal Kombat and Injustice, they seem to be putting decent stories in their fighting games, and so
they are. And
I haven't even played Injustice yet. I want to, though.
Like I said, I would like to see more of that. In the past, in the 90s, that didn't happen very often. Storyline and fighters, never. I think. Whoa, I don't know.
Well, Street Fighter and King of Fighters, I think, had somewhat of a story, but it wasn't like front and center. It was basically, you beat the game.
I started doing stories in like PlayStation 2. That was about it.
Yeah,
there is probably stories in the other ones. I just Anyway, let us know what you think about the fighting game discussion. It's not as bad as the first-person shooters, honestly, with how they handle their storyline and gameplay. Next up is the biggest offender for me, anyway, is JRPGs. What the hell happened? That's a show title in itself. JRPGs. What the hell happened? Seriously, what happened to all the good Japanese RPGs? I mean, you get plenty of good American RPGs, but it's not like what we played when we were kids.
Yeah.
The old Final Fantasy games, Square Enix, SquareSoft. Stop it. I don't know what they're doing.
I have a theory that as soon as they merged up with Enix is when it started taking that nosedive.
The last good Square game I remember was Final Fantasy IX, and some people could argue that with me, but Final Fantasy IX was the last of their pure Final Fantasy Japanese or JRPG feel,
Yeah.
And I know there's some new games out there that have a JRPG feel. Ni no Kuni has a pretty good JRPG feel. It kind of has like a Pokemon / JR, like normal, RPG from back in the day kind of feel. But that's about the only game I've ran into that I've been like, oh man, everything else has been trying new things. Like, hey, we're gonna try this new thing and this new battle system. Oh, yeah. And this does this. I want the basics again. I want the good storylines, and I think that's what a lot of them are missing is really good storylines. Everything's so not overdone. It's just I don't think they have good writers for half their games.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is with the Japanese culture because they don't really change a whole lot. They stick to tradition and they don't really try to change all that much.
But I don't think that's the case of most of their RPGs. They try to change those too much, and they should have kept. Like what happened to the storyline on the writing from 7 and 8 and 9 and 6. That was really good storyline. What happened to that? Instead, we got a weaker storyline in 10 and and I'll say 11. It's mainly an MMO. The storyline wasn't that great. 12 and 13 has just very bland storyline compared to the old series, honestly.
I hear a lot of people saying that 12 was a really good story. I think a lot of people like it because it's in the Final Fantasy Tactics universe. But,
it had okay storyline, but there was still something missing from the older series. And even with the Enix games before they became Square Enix, Star Ocean 2 was amazing.
Oh,
it was amazing. Star Ocean 3, no. They took away most of the JRPG, systems, and they still kept the active battle, where you can do combos and stuff like that, like in the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But they took out, they tried to add some, social aspects where you're trying to get to know these characters and you have to synthesize this stuff, and it just turned out bad.
Well, that was in I don't know about the first one, but that was in the second game too, where you had to have conversations with them and stuff.
Overly, not. They don't really focus on storyline. They want you to try to get to know all these weird characters, and you don't need to, And 3 kind of turned up when you got to the synthesis part. I don't know if you got to that, but you're just crafting
in that game.
You just craft the whole time. And the storyline was pretty good, and then it took a nosedive. And you're just like, this doesn't feel like the olden days. And I know I'm probably being picky about this, but that could be, one of our fans, that could be their favorite RPG of all time. But even the newer Star Oceans, Star Ocean 4 on 360 and PS3? Was that Star Ocean 4? I think so. Till the End of Time?
No, End of Time was 3. I think.
No.
I think it was like The Last Hope or something was the
Last
one
Hope,
after that.
That one was okay, and it had some redeeming, qualities, but it just they were trying to do too many new things, I guess. And it's the same thing with 10. They took away the weird leveling system, put the Spirit Grid. Even though people like the Spirit Grid, it was just.
I actually didn't have a problem with the Spirit Grid.
I didn't have a problem with it either, but it was. They kind of turned their nose towards the traditional RPG, Yeah. And it was a little bit different. But I don't know, RPGs or JRPGs in a sense have changed a lot, and they're trying to get them back. They're trying, if Ni no Kuni, they're trying to get that back. And I see a lot of pure JRPGs in the 3DS system.
Yeah.
I see a lot of them coming out, and also the PS Vita as well.
Yeah, the
It's
PS
like-
Vita, that's like a JRPG monster right now.
I guess-
for, Persona, I guess, is supposed to be
Yeah.
really awesome.
Persona's really good.
Didn't you get
Yeah.
a Persona 4, or which one did you get?
Persona 3,
Three?
what was it called? It was the deluxe version that had extra stuff in it.
Yeah.
That one's pretty good too. There's a couple things I don't like about that. That's not as traditional, but it actually keeps to the normal Persona JRPG. So this is my first Persona game, so I don't know how the other ones act, you know.
Yeah.
But it's actually really dang good but that was a PS2 game, you know.
Yeah.
I've heard
that the Tales of series, the Tales of Symphonia, and what was the other ones? Vesperia. I've heard Vesperia is supposed to be really good. I've been wanting to get into that series too.
Yeah. I'd just like to see some better storylines produced, not just crap, you know.
Yeah.
Even with Lightning Returns coming back, do they really need to do that? It's become just a money, you know, cash grab.
I don't know what they're doing with the whole Final Fantasy 13 freaking trilogy. If there was ever a game that didn't need a sequel, it was freaking 13.
It's very unusual, honestly. Even in their later years, they tried to do more off of Final Fantasy 7 with, you know, the Vincent games and stuff. Like, even though those were fun action games, but they weren't RPGs. They were just trying to branch off of it, I guess, and make more money. You slap a title on it, dude. You slap anything with Final Fantasy 7 on it or Final Fantasy, people are gonna buy it. So,
I don't know. Maybe not so much lately. I mean, they're starting to turn things around, I think, with 14. But they've got some work to do to kind of rebuild that Final Fantasy brand, I think, because they burned a lot of their customers.
Yeah. I think the only series that's really stayed true, honestly, with Enix is or Square Enix is Dragon Quest. Even though the was it 9 or I don't know. The one I really enjoyed was 8, Dragon Quest 8, and every Dragon Quest I play is almost identical, and that's not a bad thing. But the writing's all the same, you know. Like they keep a steady flow of the good writing instead of crappy writing. You know? They make their games very interesting. So I don't know. I want a new Dragon Quest. So I know the next one is like an online game. I don't really want that. But,
I would like to see a new Phantasy Star, like not the Phantasy Star Online, which I love those.
Oh,
games,
an actual single player game,
but like an actual like Phantasy Star 5. I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
The universe is there, the storyline, the lore, and everything like that. You know, it's all there. It would be nice to see.
Yeah, those were. I think before I even got into Final Fantasy, those were my favorite RPGs right there. Was Phantasy Star.
Let us know what your favorite JRPG is and what you think they've been doing wrong with the genre recently.
Mainly what Square Enix has been doing wrong.
Well, they're the main provider of JRPGs, honestly. I know, actually, was it Level 5 does pretty pure JRPGs, honestly. I don't know if you've been noticing their stuff, but they're the same people I think made Ni no Kuni and a few of the other ones.
Yeah.
So they keep to a tradition. So I guess this topic kind of ends with our beef with Square Enix.
I want to be optimistic for Final Fantasy 15, formerly versus 13. It looks. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the story so far.
It's not a JRPG, man. It looks like it's going to be action based. You know.
I don't know. It looks a little bit promising. I don't know.
I saw. No, it looks like it's gonna be fun, but I don't think it's gonna be a true JRPG. I think it's gonna be more of like a new hybrid of Square games. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Just give us freaking old school turn-based battles. That's all we want.
Yeah, yeah, that we do. We're a bunch of old farts. We don't like the new stuff. Down with old new stuff. Let us know what you think. Next up, we got Alan's Tech Corner. All right, with Alan's Tech Corner today, we got some really cool information about a mind-controlled prosthetic leg. What's that? We're doing another augmented leg root. I don't know, something augmented. We like augmented stuff. Now, this is really helpful to anybody that's lost a limb, and it's actually one of the coolest ones I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Now, on our previous podcast, we talked about a bionic arm that's controlled by the nerve endings and everything. And it's kind of that same thing, the mind controlled, and it's basically attached into their nerve system where their arm used to be. The same thing goes with this leg. Basically, this leg was funded or researched. Sorry, the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago (RIC). They dedicate research to bionic medicine. So bionic medicine, maybe we should go to school for that.
Maybe.
Might be a good thing to go into. But I'll have a link I can provide. It was on the Verge.com that I saw this. It was really cool. But this leg moves just like a normal leg. With the video, it shows this guy walking with the leg on, and it looks real. Chris, you just watched it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It looks, he's going upstairs and he's walking down the street, and it doesn't look different. If he wore a pants on it, in a shoe, he would look like a normal person with a leg, and not have to wear crutches or wheelchairs or whatever, you know. But it was really cool seeing it function because it looks like something straight out of a freaking movie, a sci-fi movie. That's what it does. It looks like that. If they reskinned it, it would be good. It's that arm that bionic arm that we were talking about that in Australia a few podcasts ago. They reskinned it over, so I'm wondering if they're going to do the same thing with this. That would be pretty cool. But the guy says the bionic leg allows me to seamlessly walk up and down stairs and even reposition the prosthetic by thinking about my movement. While this guy was using the leg, he also walked 103 floors of the Chicago Sears Tower, which is pretty remarkable, knowing that it's not going to fail on him, you know? Climbing up all those steps, that's amazing, man. How this works is it's kind of like the bionic arm, how it's set up. The nerves headed towards the patient's damaged muscle is rewired onto a healthy muscle, and the sensors placed nearby to read what the nerves are saying, like how the movement's working, how your leg would move, So it's basically taking data, but it's really your nerves, and sending it to your brain after that and connecting in electronically in a sense. So that's that's crazy. So we're getting to this point where we're able to manipulate our nerve endings and have it send signals up to our brain. And this is what they've been working on. RIC. That's what they've been working on. And it works flawlessly for the most part. They were given $8 million given by the U.S. Army to work on creating a mind-controlled bionic leg. And defense arms of the United States government have been interested in advancing prosthetics for some time, especially for our war vets, which would be really beneficial because after, after this past war and everything like that, we're still currently, people are still getting their limbs blown off and they're stuck with nothing, Yeah. So giving this, RIC funding really, really helps out with this. And they also got additional funding from DARPA, which is great. DARPA's always been constantly funding these projects. They funded some of the bionic arm that they developed as well, I believe. And they've been funding some of the other prosthetics out there. I think there was a London prosthetic one that we went into. I think the bionic eye was funded by DARPA as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So they got their hands into everything with funding wise, and it's paying off, especially with this product. I mean, seeing this guy walk up 103 floors on the Sears Tower was amazing. I flipped out, reading that anyway. And they took a picture of him standing at the very top, As we move on with bionic limbs and, prosthetics, Think of the prosthetics that we had years ago. They were nothing. This process probably makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
It may not be, it's costly. It really is. I don't know what the price on this thing is, but it's not pushed out for the public. But I think they're trying to help out as many members of the military that have lost limbs or anything like that with this product.
I think
Now,
it said in that article it was what is it? I think the arms they cost from like 20,000 to 120,000 for just the
okay,
arms. So I don't know how much the legs are though.
probably about the same, maybe.
Yeah.
You think?
I'm wondering just how responsive this thing is because it looks really smooth in the video, but I wonder if he has to actually think, okay, put my leg forward, or if he's just kind of, not even thinking about it like you normally would.
Well, it's like I said, the nerves are sending the machine's hooked into him and hooked into his nerves, and they're sending a signal. And he says he can kind of, make his next move with it,
Yeah.
while walking, and he kind of not really feels it, but he knows what to do, and it makes it a lot easier. You know, it's still not going to be the same as having a foot that you can feel or a leg that you can feel. This will just benefit anybody that's lost a limb or anything like that, that they'll be able to at least respond to it. It's kind of like the same thing with the bionic eye. She was able to see some kind of light with it, which I think we should probably read up a little bit more on some updates of that. I've kind of lost tabs on that bionic eye and also the arm, which we just kind of went back full circle with the arm now.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how advanced these things are getting, and so quickly too. Like before we know it, I'm thinking it's probably going to be to where like if the soldiers or whatever, they lose their limbs, they can just get these robotic prosthetics and just go straight back out into the fight, like if they want to, and not have to get medically retired or something.
At least keep their careers in the military, which a lot of people that lose their limbs in the military cannot stay in anymore. That's one of the major problems. Is you get your leg blown off, your arm blown off, you cannot be in the military anymore. You could probably get a civil service job, but it's just not gonna it's just not gonna work. Now, if they keep on moving with this technology, we're gonna see more and more improvement from anybody that needs prosthetics. It's really cool, and it's becoming science fiction all over again. Everything is becoming science fiction. We're gonna see so many improvements from the next few years with this. I mean, this looks amazing, and I can't wait to see in 5 years what we have now.
I wonder who's going to be the first person to discard their perfectly functioning, limbs to get these robotic ones.
And we talked about this in the last show. Overdoing of technology, man. We don't need to chop off our limbs. Sweet. I hope we get more articles like this in the future so we can discuss them. Every single time, every month, it seems like there's something to do with Bionic something. We keep on seeing this each month, each year. It just keeps on getting better. 5 years ago, we didn't even think of we could do this. All right, Chris. It's the end of the show.
Yep.
What are we doing this weekend?
I'm probably going to be playing some Kingdom Hearts, like I said. And
Kingdom Farts?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good. I kind of want to do that too, but I'm going to be picking up Wind Waker HD.
Oh, is that coming out this weekend?
Friday. Well, on the release of this show. I already have it pretty much paid off. I just got to, pay the rest of it off, and I got the collector's edition one, I guess because it was an instant upgrade, and it comes with a little Ganondorf figurine. I'm usually not into that kind of stuff, but it looks cool as shit. So Wind Waker, I'm going to be playing that. I am going to be trying to play some 14. I have an 8-man dungeon I need to do since I'm level 50 now. Yeah. And I need to do that, and all the guys on our guild or free company have been like, where the hell's Mike? Yeah, we need to do some, fate runs. We need to do some dungeons. So
yeah, I'll probably pop on there once in a while, maybe during the week or sometime over the weekend.
This weekend you should play.
I need to beat Titan.
I want to help you with that, man. Yeah. Titan would be a fun fight. You need to get that far, and maybe we can get on a talk channel, a talk box, and drink some brews. Some beers. You want to drink some beers, Chris, this weekend?
Let's drink some beers.
Drink some beers and buy some Final Fantasy 7. Wait, Final Fantasy 7? Final Fantasy 14. That sounds good. So I'm going to hold you to beer drinking. And if you don't have beer, I'm going to eat your soul, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to try to be on that. Kingdom Hearts sounds pretty good if I can get to it. And also some GTA Online if it works this weekend.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I do want to try that out.
It just came out and it's not working. It's because there's a million cajillion. Is cajillion a word? People.
It is now.
It is now. Well, that's the end of our show. We got some shout outs. Of course, you need to check out the podcast, First World Podcast. They're awesome. They are likable, and they talk about video games, kind of like us, but more so.
And for also, a lot longer than we do.
Yes, a lot longer, and that's a good thing. I like hearing their show every week. So, check them out at First World Podcast. You can look them up on Facebook and also go to their Blogspot site and check out their show.
And also, I want to give a shout out to Epic Podcasts. They just recently tweeted about our last episode, the whole Steam discussion out of nowhere. So that's pretty cool. You can follow them at Twitter. They're at Epic Podcasts.
Awesome. Well, you can follow me on Twitter as well at mbufftes.
And I'm cstu.tes.
Like our Facebook, subscribe to our iTunes, and subscribe to our YouTube. We also got a Steam group. Send me an email if you want to join it, because I locked it down like a boss. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to another episode of Technical Earth Syndicate. Now with 38% fewer zombie-related dicks. Fuck. 3, 2, 1.